What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, before I get into this video, I want to remind you guys that if you're listening to this video right now and you're not subscribed to Too Raw for TV, please subscribe to Too Raw for TV. Uh, that bell that you see on the corner of your screen, if you haven't hit that bell before, hit that bell so you'll be notified of a video that I will drop when it drops instantly. YouTube has certain things going on where they try to lessen the audience of smaller channels. So please hit that bell and also hit the like button so that our videos, my video, get better positioning on YouTube as far as the algorithm is concerned. It's not just for me, but just for the LDBC in general. You know what I'm saying? YouTube tries to suppress our channels. So with that being said, I want to give a shout out to FP, one of my subscribers. He reminded me of the date. I usually remember these types of things, but it did slip my mind. October the 12th. And this is a very momentous date in NBA history because 20 years ago today, on October 12th, 1999, we lost literally a giant in the sport. Wilt Chamberlain, Wilton Norman Chamberlain, at the much too young age of 63 years old. I was shocked when he died. I did not know that he was ill. I did know that I remember reading that he had some issues with high blood pressure in the recent years, slight heart condition, but I didn't think it was anything serious. Whenever I would see him in interviews, the joint interviews he's doing with Bill Russell, I saw him courtside. He looked fine. If anything, I noticed he had lost a little weight, but I just thought that came with maybe, you get a little older, want to lose a little weight. Older people tend to lose weight. But I did remember seeing him, I think it was several months prior to his death. It might have been like late 98 going into 99. I remember he suddenly looked heavier. And what I found out what that was after his death was his heart was failing. And he was starting to develop congestive heart failure, and fluid was retaining in his system. And I think he gained like 50 something pounds of just fluid. And then ultimately he lost that fluid, but his heart was getting really poor. And what the death knell for Wilt was, he had dental surgery like 2 weeks before he died or something like that. And even if you are healthy, you're never advised to have more than one or maybe two tooth pulled out at the same time because of the effects it has on the body. I think Wilt had a lot of teeth pulled out. I think it was some old injuries he had back when he was playing early in his career, and he had some teeth knocked like backwards when he was a younger man in his like early 20s. Where here he is at age 60 in his 60s, and this was really affecting him. But ultimately, though, on that date, Wilt Chamberlain was found dead in his home, um, in his bed. And when the news broke, sometime I think it was early that afternoon when the news broke, I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. I think I was over a friend of mine's house that day when he died. And I was just absolutely shocked when it scrolled across ESPN that he had passed away, because when you think of Wilt Chamberlain, especially in those time period, if you're old enough like me and even older, much older, you remember when you thought of Wilt Chamberlain, you thought of immortality, you thought of strength, you thought of a Goliath, a living Superman. Superman doesn't die, not really. And at just 63 years old, it was almost unfathomable. And it left a level of shock in me that still to this day, it just doesn't seem right. You know what I'm saying? But I think the void in the last 20 years is there. It's a huge void, just in basketball itself. Wilt was always a person that spoke his mind, and he was controversial. Uh, Everybody didn't agree with everything that he did or said. Wilt could come across uh, as arrogant. Uh, Politically, he alienated most black people in this country. He was Republican. He supported Richard Nixon. He supported Ronald Reagan. And in that aspect, like I said, he alienated a lot of black people. Um, and also, ultimately, Wilt Chamberlain was known for uh, boasting, boasting, and exaggerating to an extent. Now, I don't know whether or not he slept with 20,000 women. There have been several friends and teammates that said that they think that number is exaggerated, and they saw too many times where he went up into his room by himself at night with a bag of McDonald's or something. So it was like, I don't know if he slept with that many women, but he did sleep with a lot of women. Literally, probably thousands, but 20,000 may be just a inflated number. But that number caused a lot of controversy. We'll say he didn't sell books. Women said that, it was an example of man reducing women just to sex objects and just a mere total or number or whatever. But be it as it may, as a basketball player, Wilt Chamberlain was non-pareil. He's the most dominant basketball player in the history of the NBA. I always get a little bit irritated when someone says Shaquille O'Neal. As dominant as Shaq is, uh, they didn't change rules for Shaq the way that they did for Wilt Chamberlain. Okay. Yeah, you had to hack a Shaq, whatever. But they actually had to change certain rules to try to minimize Wilt's impact on the league. You came in as a rookie. No one will ever come into the NBA and average 38 points and 27 rebounds. No one. No one for their career is going to average 30 points and 23 rebounds. No one. No one's going to hold, still to this day, 70 plus NBA records. No one. No one most likely is going to score 100 points, barring a miracle type performance in the history in the NBA ever again. No one's definitely ever going to grab 55 rebounds in a game. No one's going to ever average 50 points in a season. No one's going to average at least 40 points in a season, which Wilt did also another season. Wilt Chamberlain led the NBA in rebounding 11 times. I think the closest to Wilt is Dennis Rodman, who did it 7 consecutive years. Wilt led the NBA in rebounding 11 years. And most likely it would have been 12 years had he not missed the 1969-70 season due to injury. And that year, Elvin Hayes led the NBA in rebounding by default. But Wilt probably would have led the NBA in rebounding 12 out of his 14 season career, the only other two times being Bill Russell. Wilt Chamberlain scored 50 points or more 122 times in his NBA career. Second on that list when you combine regular season and playoff was Michael Jordan with 39. Wilt scored 50 points 45 times in the 1961-62 season alone. He's the most dominant player in the history of the NBA. And it has to be said that since his death, his overall standing in the NBA has dropped somewhat because people, now that Wilt Chamberlain's not there to defend himself anymore, people have been bashing him for what he used to bash him for when he played. Well, if he was so great, why didn't he win the championship more? Why did he sometimes falter down the stretch of games? And some of the criticism has some merit, some of it don't. Because The same thing is often said about LeBron James. As great as a player he is, 4 league MVPs. Wilt won 4 league MVPs. LeBron has 3 championships. Wilt had 2 championships. LeBron's been on some of the greatest individual teams we've seen. The 66 win Miami Heat team. Uh, Wilt was on the 68 win Sixers team in 1967 and the 69 and 13 Lakers in 1972. They had the record 33 game win streak. But oftentimes, Wilt ran into teams, most notably Bill Russell, which was loaded with a plethora of Hall of Famers. And as a consequence of that, one great player, no matter how dominant and great they are, cannot beat a team consistently laden with Hall of Fame caliber talent. And that's what I think was one of the reasons Wilt Chamberlain was not able to win more often than he did. But he was a winner. He went to the NBA Finals numerous times. He won 2 NBA championships and was huge, instrumental piece in those teams winning the championship. And he won Finals MVP in 1972. And if the award existed in 1967, he would have won Finals MVP in that year. The award wasn't invented until 1969. So, in conclusion, I want to say, Wilt, we miss you dearly. I know that if you were a presence in today's world, you would be on Twitter talking trash and talking shit, and talking about how this center wouldn't compare to you, and you'd be 100% correct. Wilt Chamberlain, we miss you.